So, and now I would switch the screen and say hello.
Hi.
So, welcome to
So,
our first female fabricator session on our YouTube channel. We have already 5 viewers. That's really great. And Marisol, you want to introduce?
yeah, so let's start. Mhm. Yes, let me. I'm Marisol. So, welcome to our session. We are really excited about it. And let's just start right away so that you know who we are. So, this is us, the organizers. Catherine started everything, and Samudra and me are also part of it. We're really excited that we can create this group and started just organizing our sessions. So here's just the links for the Fabric community group and for the LinkedIn user group. I can also post the few slides on our group afterwards. And just we have prepared a few guidelines. I think this goes without saying, but we expect everyone to be respectful, to foster constructive conversations. So if you provide feedback, please do it in a nice way. We want to support inclusivity and diversity. So discrimination or harassment will not be tolerated. We're here to learn. So we want to encourage learning and knowledge sharing. Please also always protect privacy, so never share content if you're not allowed to, and please report any issue if something happens. Another thing is thank you to our sponsors, without whom it wouldn't be possible to create all the great merchandising that Catherine has been creating. We have really cool stickers and keychains and other things. So that's really, really cool. We're still looking for sponsors. So if you know of anybody, or if you want to become a sponsor, then get in touch with us. And enough talking. So Roman is our first guest today. So Roman, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Marisol. Let me present and take over the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thanks first of all for inviting me, because I'm excited to be the first presenter at the Female Fabricators meetup. And just to clarify why this session is important for me. So basically, this month is quite special for me. It's the same as for the Disney Plus, because it marks the 101 year of anniversary for the Disney, which inspires me a lot. What they're producing, the kind of cartoons, movies, what they're doing. It's quite a long journey, and I would like to share the lessons I learned from the Disney, and maybe give you some oversights of the storytelling, how it's possible to use them in the reporting with Power BI, showing how this storytelling can help to develop better reports and make some better insights just to improve the whole story. First of all, why storytelling? Why this topic? Well, how many of you deployed the reports that eventually showed zero use in the metrics, usage metrics reports? I think that happens quite often, at least with the reports I was working for a long time until now. But such streaming platforms like Disney or any other streaming platforms cannot afford this kind of behavior. And Disney currently has more than 20 million daily active users using their platform. That's why I thought it could be a good example to take some lessons from them and learn and implement this into the reporting in data analytics, and to increase the user experience and just the usage of the reports itself. So that's the question, to find out what's wrong with the reports, why not people are not using it that much as the streaming platform. And basically, I came to the idea that currently what many people are focusing, it's more like a problem-solving approach, basically trying to identify the problem and trying to find a solution for that. But problem solving is great, in my opinion. But nowadays, the clients, they are able to find the solutions for the problems with use of AI or just, I don't know, with the use of internet, or like trying to find the best kind of scenario and so on. And storytelling can help to spot those issues and make a transition from problem solving to problem finding. And basically, that's the current setup. So I think that's why storytelling is important and helps to identify the problems. And that's what the current task of the consultant or the analyst and someone in the data engineering direction. So transition from problem solving to problem finding. We go next. So just to introduce myself, I'm Roman. I'm a senior data analyst at Avanet, based in Frankfurt am Main in Germany. I'm originally coming from Ukraine, and yes, I have like different areas of expertise. As like mostly I'm focused on Power BI, AI engineering, everything related to Azure, Databricks, visual storytelling, like a personal passion, and of course like Power BI related to Fabric, big data analytics. In my free time, you could see like the photo. So it's another hobby of mine. I'm like to build custom-made drones, and I think it's kind of similar with the building the report, because the process is quite similar. It's like building something, crashing, and then repeating this development circle. That's about me. Just the short introduction about the session. There will be Q&A time for the and the feedback form in the end. If you have some feedback, I will highly appreciate this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I think that will be possible to answer, or in the end of the session, there will be some time to where you can ask some questions. Let's jump into the session. Basically, imagine the dashboard or report designed by such company like Apple. So how it may look like. A typical Apple product looks like this. Basically, it has a clean, simple, easy to use design, which is ready to be used straightforward out of the box. So basically just open, touch, and interact. And basically simplicity here is the key. The next thing is another typical successful product is a typical Google product. If the Google produce some report or dashboard, it might look like this. Basically, there is a search bar where you can type your question and you get an immediate solution. So there is no much noise. It's just straightforward. You don't need to have much experience using the tool. It's very user-friendly for any kind of level of user. The same thing with the OpenAI, quite straightforward. And I think that's the key to the success, why they have so many users. And if we are coming back to the Power BI dashboards or like the reporting, how it may look like. It's most probably looks like this. And this is coming from the Microsoft official page. And this report, I would say, it's not bad. So it's like 99% of the reports that I observed so far, they look like this. Just that something is missing. Of course, there is this slice panel on the left with the different periods that could be selected, different categories, and so on. That's what the client mostly requests. But of course, those slices never enough. They also prefer to use this kind of filter and put a lot of manual filters on the right. And just to complete this picture, there is, of course, this functionality, that's the question I always ask. I don't remember any meeting with the client when we discussed the reporting. They didn't ask if there is this such feature to be able to export the data to Excel. And now you could see that it's quite different from other like successful products, like it could be Apple or Google or even OpenAI, what they're producing. And that could be, I thought it could be one of the reasons why the reports, which are mostly developed, why there is not much use of that. So there is a time spent on the development, on the discussion of the reports, of the needs, but quite often if there is even the high, a bit higher usage of the report in the beginning, then with the time it goes down. And the usage itself, the user experience, it could be the reason. Basically, the agenda for today, what are we going to discuss? We're going to discuss some data visualization techniques that Disney Plus and other streaming platforms are using. There is also Power BI sample report. It's quite basic, but with applied fundamental techniques that we're going to learn. And there is a Q&A session in there. Let's jump in. So basically, when we are opening the Disney Plus streaming platform, the first page where we're going to land looks like this. And what's that's about? Thus, here we could see there is those personalized profiles, which allow to pre-filter for the user, allowing user to create the custom dashboards, or like allowing the user pre-filter the data, what they are looking for. You can see quite minimalistic design. There is not much options, even if you are not familiar with the platform. If you are not understand what you are looking for, it will navigate you and basically prepares you for the next steps. Basically, you don't need more than like 10, 20 seconds to define what your profile is. And it's not overwhelming because maximum what you can select on the Disney platform is 7. I believe other streaming platforms are more or less the same. As soon as you figure out what your profile is, then you go further. And what you're going to see here. Here you can see on the top, big eye catcher. And basically the idea of this big eye catcher banner is to attract the attention. It's like the first thing what is where like the person who is going to use this is looking at. And it's the idea that you might stop on this banner and then gonna click and then gonna look what is it for. Based on the, first of all, based on the personalized profile, and the second, there is an algorithm behind which is showing the different content for different users, depends on their preferences. The next thing, which is below this banner, there are those big tiles. And big tiles are used to showcase the key content. Very important to notice here, there are only 5 tiles in a row, so there are no more. Why that? Because that's how our brain works. So those 5, well, in this case, we have 6. This is like the most, that's what our brain, it perceives. And then if there is more, then it will be too much. If there is too less, then it's too less options. And then we could see like the idea that with those tiles, you already would be able to spot and then to get into the category, what are we interested in? And then this category filters our next choice again. So basically, what Disney Plus is offering is like kind of thinking instead of us. So we need to think as less as possible and just navigate and just select, is it A or B? Is it like B or C? So basically providing less options, but every time giving more and more options in order to navigate to the final goal. The next thing, those are pre-filtered categories. And there is always what you're going to see at any streaming platform. You will never be able to see the whole list of the movies available on the platform. Why that? So there is that's quite obvious because there are too many movies, and if they give you an option to see all the list of the movies they have, it will be just overwhelming. There is always pre-filtered top 5, top 10 category of like top awarded movies, like the most streaming in your country, or like the most popular nowadays. Always pre-filtered, and then the category of top something. The next thing, which is also quite interesting and noticeable in the design of and the user experience of the streaming platforms, is a dark mode. Dark mode is quite popular feature for streaming platforms at Disney Plus, and why the dark mode is so popular. It's because it's reducing the eye discomfort and improving the concentration in case if there are not many options available. So there are studies which prove that it helps us to, that's how our brain works. It helps us to focus a bit better if there are less options available, and those are developed with a dark theme design behind. The next thing is the effective navigation. We could also see that the navigation panel is there. Of course, if it's with these pre-filtered categories, we are not able to find what are we looking for, but there is still needs to be option to search for some particular movies or the cartoons, what are we interested in. And basically this navigation panel is there, but it's still hidden. So it's hidden on the top, or it could be also on the left side. And yes, basically it's there. There is still this option, but it's designed the way that with those pre-filtered categories, you should be already able to navigate and just choose from the options available. But of course, there is a opportunity to look for something particular if you know what are you looking for. The next thing, what is also quite popular feature in all of the streaming platforms, and Disney Plus particular, is this preview for time saving. Basically, without clicking and navigating, if you're still not sure if you are going to watch this particular cartoon or movie, you can highlight it and it will allow you to preview the content, give you a short trailer, and then again, you have this 1 minute to decide if that's what you are looking for, if you are interested in this content. And it's the purpose of that to grab your attention as much as possible, not that you don't need to look for something by yourself. You basically to step before you start using the navigation panel. Just to sum it up a bit, there are studies that the top left corner that gets the most attention first. Web users spend around 80% of their time viewing the left half of the page and 20% viewing the right half of the page. That's very important to know those basic rules while designing the report. And there is a eye tracking study which is showing you, of course, there is a priority one top left corner which gets the most attention. So that's where the most important information which needs to be shared with the user, this place should be preserved for the user. Another significant like the study which is showing that people read in F patterns. So basically there is a lot of studies how to keep people's attention at the web pages, and all of the studies basically they show that people read maybe the first line, maybe the second, and then their attention is reducing, depends on the how much down they should go. So basically if they need to scroll to get your content, there is a very high risk that the user will not gonna see the content itself. So that is the idea to be on the top left corner, and that's the best solution possible. That's the best option to be able to that the content will be seen. And those rules could be quite obvious, but as we could see that like in the design, even though the Power BI desktop itself, that such important functionality like browse the device where you're gonna save your reports and so on, it's not on the top where it's supposed to be in my opinion. So even on with all the resources available in the Microsoft, so they sometimes have some user experience issues that could be improved. And basically, just to sum it up as a general rule and a recommendation, data that is not used should be hidden, just like unused visuals. And basically, But what happens in the most case of the scenarios, it looks something like this. The reports always optimize the performance, or it could be visualization. Always start with cleaning the data, and that resolves most of the cases. Even with the performance, of course, there is a lot of different tools to update, but that's the first start, because the data, unused data in the reporting, there is a very high level of the data that is not used, but it's still there for some reason. That's the same for the visuals. Quite often there are visuals that not really don't bring much value, or like when they start discussing the report with the business users, they don't really need particular visuals. And here is a very short and simple approach that I prefer to use when I design the reports. Basically, I like those approach of 3 points. So first is the spot. When the person is landing in my report, I need to always to develop with the mind that this person might not have much knowledge about the report, about the data they're gonna see. Of course, there's the question why they are having access to this report, but for the design perspective, I design with this idea in mind, that as soon as they land at the landing page, they should spend no more than 1 minute to spot the main key of the report, understand what the report about, and maybe get some basic selection options, how to navigate further. The second page where they're gonna land, as soon as they pre-filtered what they are gonna look for, or they understood what the report is about, the main key metrics on the second page, which have the idea to sort the data. So basically quickly pre-filter the data to help the user to navigate for the further analysis. And as soon as the user figure out what they are looking for, did the pre-filtered operations, and then to get the further navigation, they are landing at the final, not final, but could be the report, which is the dashboard, which is showing the actual data, and which allows to do more deep dive into detailed analysis and a structured approach based on the user preferences, what they are looking for. And of course, it could be extended, but this is the general approach which I use developing the reports. And if you know the guy, that's Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He's a very famous French writer. And what he basically said, that you achieve the perfection not when you have nothing more to add, but when you have nothing to take away. And I think it's very important to develop reporting and preparing the data for the reports with these thoughts in mind. And I think that Disney Plus and many other streaming platforms are using similar approach, and that's the reason why they have one of the reasons, of course, why they have quite high number of the users, nice user experience, because they try to keep it as simple as possible. We could see that this concept is not new. It's used by the designers and developers since long time. Another thing, coming to the storytelling part, what could be used, another technique for the presenting the report itself, or trying to figure out what are the problem issues. I like to use this so-called Pixar pitch approach. And basically, what is it about? If you ever watch the Pixar movies or the cartoons, all of them, they have quite similar structure. Basically, the story is going following. Once upon a time, there is introduction to the some location, or where is they gonna happen, the cartoon itself. Every day there was a similar things, the routine is happening. And then one day, the special day, when something particular happens, something unusual. And then because of that, it's the caused distraction to the normal routine of the life within this imaginary world. Because of that, most probably the main character needed to take some action until finally the problem was resolved, and then there is most of the cases there is a happy end of those cartoons. And that's one of the key success of the cartoons, because they follow the structure, which seems to be quite simple but works perfectly. And this kind of approach and the structure could be also used for the reporting, but could be also used for the daily life of any person. As an example, very simple, but it could be used in the following way. So we could say that once upon a time, so once there are many users when I prepare the report. So why I'm preparing the report? Because once upon a time, many users, they couldn't access the report. Every day, they struggle with multiple Excel files, so different sources of the data, and they were not able to update it. So that's the common situation. They are not updating in time. They're showing not the data what people are looking for, or they are showing different data even within the same domains. But one day I introduced the Power BI app that's for the financial services that's supposed to resolve these issues. As a result, more people, because of that, more people access the real-time data easily. There was one single point of truth. And because of that, it's helped the client to improve productivity and focus on their core tasks, not thinking about the data governance and the data itself. Until finally, the reporting system became accessible for everyone, from the business user level to the C level in the company. Very simple approach, but it could be used for many kind of situations. And coming to the demo of now let's see the report, the sample report that I developed for the client using this approach. How it look like. Basically, the landing page looks similar to this. There are not many options. When the client lands to the report, they could see different profiles they could use. Basically, the first option is the C-level report, is the general picture of the report itself, which might help to analyze the sales overview, the general information, understand the overall health and performance of the business overall. The second option for the regional manager, which allows to look at the overall performance for the different regions, identifying the high-performing stores and areas which need improvement. This report is about the sales report. And the third option is the most detailed store development team based, and this page will allow to define each individual performance of each individual store. And depends on the user, of course. They can use the experience what they prefer. But if you start with the C-level, it's gonna look like this. Basically, we could see there is an overview on the east of the USA. We could see there an overview of the different stores, the new stores, and the same stores which already exist before, and this year sales information. There is also an option to go and navigate for each particular store, but let's analyze first that's what is also available here. We could see at the bottom the top 4 stores all in all, and we could see their goal in some sales, and if it's red, then they are below the goal. If they are blue, then they already reached the goal, and maybe they need a bit less attention than the ones which are still under the target. We could see also top 4 series and top 4 categories. Those are those like main KPIs what the C-level management is focused. And of course, there is also an option to highlight and then to have this preview without clicking, navigating further to see, okay, what happened, why the goal is higher, why the actual results for now are a bit lower than goal. And it's possible to make it static, and it's also possible to make it dynamic. Me personally, I prefer more static version, but it's also could be it's possible to use the dynamic version for maybe providing some instruction and to give maybe to some navigation and guide user how to use the report. But nevertheless, it's possible to highlight and then get the information of the report and some KPIs without even clicking on them and see what is going on. If that's not enough, it's possible to go and then navigate to the district sales, which are more detailed information, not the general overview, but it's already on the district level. It's possible to filter data if needed for different months, for different chains, and then it's possible to select different categories here. Depends on the use case, but there is still option to do some filters. And we could see here on the top, the last year sales and this year sales. We could see more in details what is the variance in which months, the amount, and so on. At the bottom, we could see here the total sales variance with comparing to the average unit and this year sales by different categories. You could see how the different sales in different categories are doing. And here we could also see this total sales by chain and name. There is already a bit higher number of options, but still it's not the only information available, even if it's still this information is not enough for the end user. There is always option, of course, to navigate and ask what is the some different categories. Is those functions with Q&A in Power BI, which it allows to navigate and get this information just with the natural language. But it's still possible to have some a bit more control and then to go and navigate into the stores itself to get the most detailed information as possible. And basically here we could see the comparison of this year and last year sales, the same with the goal. And we could see also the responsible persons for the this year and last sales for the each particular store and different chains. And we could see also it helps to spot, okay, if something was doing completely different comparing to this and last year, it spots our attention directly what is the total sales variance, and then we can directly address those issues to the responsible person. But when I presented this approach to reporting, of course, there was a lot of feedback behind what the information, what they're really looking for. They really like it, and they like the approach, and it also allows different users use the same reports and not being overwhelmed with the information they don't really need. But what they really like the most, which was not even in scope of the project, it was the monitoring report that I also developed in parallel. What it actually does, it monitors the different pipelines which are executed and for the data ingestion on the different stages, on the different layers, on the bronze, silver, and gold. And basically the user could monitor. It's more like, again, it's not for the user, it's more for the developer. But basically they were able to use it on a daily basis and monitor the pipelines if the data is updated properly. There are also different comparisons for the different, like how much data was written, how much volume, how many rows, the status, if something, there are indicators, if something got wrong, success rate, and everything. And the most success of all this story when I met clients after some months after delivering this project and publishing, deploying everything to production, what they told me actually when I met them and I asked them, okay, are you still using the report and didn't have access to the usage metrics report? They told me the most what they're using, they use actually mobile application of this report, the monitoring report. And the reason behind that was, and they really appreciate the dark mode, because before, when they were still using the on-prem setup, there was a guy who needed to go once a month to the office like around 4 a.m. to be sure that all the pipelines, everything runs successfully, because they had this once a month, they had this high level meeting, and they need to be sure that all the data was replicated, updated in time. And basically with this use of this application, the report itself, of course, is available online, but also the pipeline monitoring, which was extended to the one which is standard available. This person was able to monitor this from home, and then he didn't need to wake up like at 4. He needs to wake up around 6 or 7, but still enjoying the dark mode that is not really putting a lot of pressure on the vision, and then which was not also kind of in scope, but they were really happy to have this kind of layout and the reports, the small addition to the report. So basically, this is the short report demo. Of course, it depends. It could be extended to the certain level, but hope you understood the approach. And just to sum it up, some recommendations. Then that's also I try to follow when I develop the report. First, it's keep the scrolling workout to try to avoid the options for the visuals for the scrolling. And even if there is a need for the scrolling because there are too many categories, too much data, it's to do the scrolling from top to the bottom, because it's more natural way how people scroll, and never from left to right, because this needs to be redesigned. The next thing is leverage white spaces. There is nothing bad even if there is some empty space on the reports. It's much more important to keep the space, not to overwhelm the reports with some unnecessary data just because there is a space or just because there is a data. Be specific and communicate with the end user what they are looking for. Use big tiles and eye catchers to attract the attention. Spot the most important KPIs. Spot, sort, solve approach. Again, try to develop something what is not like a one pager. Of course, there could be different requirements for only one pager, but in most of the cases, clients appreciate a lot if there is this kind of a slow introduction and possibility to unwrap the report itself, but starting small with opportunities to pre-select, pre-filter data with different profiles, then sort, depends on the needs, and then specific filters, and then introducing the data itself. Pixar pitch, as is already mentioned, that it could be used for presenting the report or for developing the story, for the particular application or for the solution. And last but not least, keep it simple. Everyone likes the simplicity, and even like the things that might look from the very beginning very simple, there is a lot of work behind, but everyone will appreciate the simplicity nowadays, because there is just too much information, too much noise, and this simplicity can help people to focus and really create the best user experience. And last but not least, here there are a few links that I would like to share that you can look it up. Basically, first of all, is a storytelling with data from Kolnesbach Navlik. It's a very nice blog, and there is also a book available with a nice techniques for storytelling, visual makeovers, and it's a very nice, nice design book, and it could be used for any user experience optimization. The next thing is a Catapult magazine for the cartographic and social economy. Basically, it's a German-based science magazine that uses the illustration to present the news. It's very nice. There is a website, I believe, so the Instagram page. Look her up. It's very nice how they design the information and how they share it with others. Another source which I like personally the most, I think that's the best source in my personal opinion, about some blogging about Power BI and Microsoft Fabric. It's from Kurt Buller. It's called Data Goblins, and the way he designs and presents the information, it resonates a lot with me, and I really like to read the articles. It makes accessible complicated information, really complicated information, in a very accessible way. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of work behind to make it simple, but it's worth to check it out. Another thing is Daniel Pink teaches sales and persuasion. There is a master class, and New York best-selling author, this Daniel Pink. He's presenting the art of persuading, selling, motivating, and it's also related to storytelling. Have a look, check out his sources, very nice. And the last but not least, it's WTF visualization. Basically, it's a website where is the live data, the real life examples, how the data should not be presented. Basically, visuals that don't really make much sense, confuse people, but it's a still live examples from the magazine, TV, and the real reporting examples. And that being said, I really would like to hear some feedback from you, or if you have some thoughts, you want to discuss something, you can stay in touch. And basically, yes, you can connect with me on the LinkedIn, or text me on my email, or just write the feedback, and then what do you think? If you have some thoughts, if you had some storytelling challenges at your work, or want to discuss something.
Thanks, Roman.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
It was very, very good. So we were very excited and watched every little detail. It was very good.
Yeah, thanks a lot. For me, especially for me, I'm more like in the back end, so I'm always eager to learn about front end and report design. And I really like this thing that you mentioned about this persona approach, where you can select if you're a manager or if you're like something else. So I think this is really great, because it's a totally different look that you have at the data. Like managers only want KPIs, and then controllers, they want to see more details. So that I really like that idea. It's something I will definitely use in the future.
Glad to know. It's also possible to use, it's only the example, for these different personas, but could be also different KPIs, more detail, less detail, but looks simple. But as soon as I started developing my reports in this approach, I got a very good feedback so far. People like it, looks a bit different. Sometimes people need a bit more time to get used to, and then switch their perspective on what they got used to normally. But yeah, there is a reason behind, that most of the reports are not used, and then there is just a lot of information nowadays needs to look a bit different, that people keep using it.
Yeah, I have a similar approach called Netflix layout. So
Very similar.
Similar to the Disney approach. But yeah, I understand your approach here, and it is very good. I also set up some reports in companies with this approach, and it works very well, because everyone finds himself in the icons which you put on the front tiles. So yeah, it's really cool. Thank you.
I think, yeah, anytime welcome. I think there is no, actually, there is already so many successful examples that people develop. That is very difficult to develop something new. And it's just possible to just take the best approach, which is already working perfectly, apply to your specific use case, my work like magic.
Thank you. And we have also some thanks from the chat. I already put it on the stage. So thanks from Armand and Samundra. So great session. And yeah, maybe we have you back in another session later. So later or next year, if you want.
Definitely. So, but it's not only about visualization, right? You're gonna present what are your scope of focus? Do you have some target group? What is the
To be honest, it's everything related to Fabric, from visualization to data
Yes.
engineering.
Yes, it's
So,
the
yeah.
whole the whole stack.
That's perfect place because I will be presenting this session next week in Zurich at the data conference, and then in 2 weeks it will be in Past Summit in Seattle. And that's was
That's
looking
great.
for the
Wow.
opportunity to practice a bit. And we
Yeah.
discussed with Marisol. She's like, I know the place, and I was like, okay. So it's like was a bit shorter because at Past Summit it's gonna be 45 minutes, so I maybe was a bit too fast, but try to present. But definitely, yeah, there are some other sessions I have, and I need to practice them a bit more before going on the stage. And nice opportunity to share.
Okay,
Cool.
great. Then thank you and thanks for our viewers. And we'll see us. Marisol, when is the next appointment for for the next female fabricator session?
Yeah, to be honest, we thought about at least once a month, but since there are so many updates in Fabric, I think if we find enough speakers, then we can do it twice a month.
So every 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because I mean, it's just so hard to stay up to date with everything. So I'm really thankful every time that I can watch sessions and learn actively something new. Yeah.
Great. So we will post the next session on LinkedIn, and of course you will see it here on the YouTube channel. So thank you, Roman,
Thank you.
Marisol.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
inviting. Very ambitious. Keep it up every 2 weeks. That's a very strong commitment.
Let's see.
I will
We'll
try
try.
to give my support as much as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you, and yeah, have a nice evening.
Yeah, have a nice
You
evening.
too.
Bye.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.